I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me on the latest episode of I Am Gaming Podcast. This is a podcast about the video game industry, entrepreneurship, gaming nostalgia, and many more cool things I find to be in the same realm of business and creative ventures. Like always, first of all, a huge thanks goes to my Patreon supporters. You make this podcast possible, and I'm super grateful for your donations. Please, everyone else, check out the description of this video. You'll see links to all of my Patreon supporters, and you can check out their games, YouTube channel, Twitch streams, and so many more cool things they work on regularly. Again, a big thanks to all of you. You make I Am Gaming Podcast, and it's episode 96, something that exists in real life, not just in my head. For this episode, I'm really happy to share that I started working inside of a team, a really small indie team, on a really interesting indie game that I think can be somewhat of a game changer, quote unquote, for the indie shooter scene. The game is called Vampire Slayer New Blood, and you can check it out on the link in the description below. It will take you to its Steam page. You can wishlist it there, and I hope you do wishlist it, because it provides a really ambitious and a really interesting take on the multiplayer shooter, multiplayer FPS genre, and does it from an indie perspective, which is pretty amazing, pretty unique. Usually shooters are something that involves a lot of people working on it. The development is big and costly, and of course the most popular games are those that invested billions of dollars in their series, like for example Call of Duty. However, Vampire Slayer is also a multiplayer first-person action shooter, but one that provides, first of all, a really strong horror vibe. It pits vampire slayers and vampires against one another in interesting and dynamic environments, where each side has a lot of unique and interesting abilities they can use in combat, but they also can access weapons and many more things, offering a really asymmetric way of combating one another that is vastly different if you're a vampire or a slayer. And everything I'm seeing, everything I figured out about the game, even previously I have known about this project for some time, is exceedingly promising. Now my role is going to be to try to help the world find out about it, and I think it really deserves to get a lot more attention and traction, because for an indie title it is trying to make something pretty extraordinary. The planned release date is 1st of July 2022, so it's pretty far in the future, not that far, it's less than a year. However, right now the game is trying to get some publicity traction, because it's of course essential for everyone, especially those in the gaming industry, especially indie teams, to get more eyeballs. So please check out Vampire Slayer New Blood. There is a link in the description that will take you to its Steam page, and find out what Sketchy Realms is all about. If you leave a wishlist or get this game on your wishlist, it will help us immensely, because the game, like any game, needs more publicity. So in my view, it offers us something unique, something really distinct, but it does it at the same time inside of a really popular genre, really competitive genre, not only in the terms of its gaming mechanics, but in terms of business plans. A lot of these games, like I mentioned, the Call of Duty series and everything else, operates now in a domain basically of free-to-play games, where everyone is fighting to get more and more players. Now, of course, Vampire Slayer, as a small game, does not want to compete with huge games. It just wants to find a sizable and decent playing population when it launches, but before it does that, it needs to get people to wishlist the game, of course. So please check it out. If you're into first-person shooters, if you're into horror games, if you're into indie development, check it out. You won't be disappointed. It's a really ambitious project. That's ultimately the biggest draw for me, the thing that allowed me to kind of try to participate and try to help it out. The level of ambition is something I don't see often in these super small indie teams with games that are actually on par with companies and games that are produced with literally hundreds of millions of dollars in their budgets. Vampire Slayer is not that in terms of its budget, but it is in terms of its ambition, especially in the indie community. So again, it's an honor, it's a great privilege to be able to work on a project like this. Hopefully my input and my activity will be useful in the end. And yeah, please check out the game. Again, I believe it offers something distinct. If you're a fan of vampires, if you're a fan of vampire horror, this is a slam dunk for you for sure. So, head on to Steam, check out Vampire Slayer New Blood, and wishlist it. Of course, there are other ways to follow the development. I will leave those links in the description below as well. Consider those and let us know what you think about the game. We would love to hear your thoughts and takes, like always. That's all for me. That's all for this episode of I Am Gaming Podcast. It's basically an announcement episode and something that is here to kind of give you a direction towards a really interesting indie project. And hopefully I'm going to talk about the game and how the back end of the same process of trying to kind of build a community around the game and build a wishlist base is going. And I would love to have you around for those videos as well. We're honing in slowly towards episode 100. Hopefully you'll be there for it as well. Again, thanks so much for watching. A big thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon page, the link is in the description as well. And check out Vampire Slayer New Blood. Until next episode of I Am Gaming Podcast, my name is Ivica. A big thanks for listening and see you in precisely 7 days from now. Until then, bye bye.